I'd like to welcome everybody to the January edition of the Tips and Tricks SIG. Glad to see everybody's made it here. And I'd like to typically we have our open forum and then we can go on to the topics I sent out. We can mishmash this anyway. Does anyone have any problems or questions they'd like to propose to the group on computer related issues? Yes, Tim.
Somebody. Anyway, I had a strange problem on the west side meeting that one of my old machines wouldn't launch Zoom. It's a 64-bit processor, and I had a 64-bit version of Zoom. After doing a little research, I found out why. Basically, it's an AMD processor. Apparently the 64-bit doesn't work anymore since version 5.17. Recommendation was uninstall that 64-bit version, install the 32-bit, and it works. Don't ask why.
I wonder if that's going to be the case on my wife's new laptop that's got an AMD processor.
No, I think it's mostly, mine's old. It's a Phonem processor, but that I found out I was not the only person having this issue.
Oh, it could be the codecs that it's using.
Could be. I don't know.
And there's a clash on the AMD route. AMD is not always they don't always play nice.
Well, it's also a case where Windows doesn't always play nice because they've been, shall we say, jilting AMD, even Ryzen processors, causing them to run slower than they actually should be running.
Right.
But I've noticed on that other system of mine, for reasons I don't understand, it's been running pretty slow compared to what it was, say, a year or so ago. It used to run quite good. And now it's turning into a dog. So there's something in 10 in Windows that is not playing fair with that particular system's process.
Has anyone else ever ran into any compatibility issues with AMD?
Well, I mean, I have a Ryzen, it's a low-end processor, a 2200G, and it still runs 10 and does fantastic. So that's why I say, I think the older AMD processors somehow are just not, they don't have something there anymore, at least for Zoom to actually launch, because it wouldn't even launch.
Yeah, years ago, I used to have problems with AMD processors and in earlier versions of Windows, but I have not run into that, but I have not been running any PCs that had AMD processors until just recently. So I would have nothing to go off of. Bob Baxter, have you run into this at all? AMD issues?
Sorry, most of my equipment is Intel.
Yeah, pretty much all of mine is too.
Yeah, this is a Surface, and I don't really know, but I think it's an Intel.
Oh yeah, that would be an Intel too.
Yeah.
The majority of mine are Intel based too, but I do have some AMD laptops as well as desktops, but it varies as to, I guess, I haven't tried Zoom on some of the other ones because they're low-end systems in many instances. So why would I want to mess with Zoom, even a 32-bit version?
Right.
So it was just this one here is an auxiliary backup to this other machine that's Intel based. And last Thursday, I could not get it to launch Zoom, so I had to rely upon just the one system here to be able to get a recording, and it happened to work out good.
Okay, Anybody else run into any issues or questions or problems? I did run into an issue when I was working on my wife's new laptop. She acquired it over the holidays. And one of the things that she found, this is running Windows 11, and when she pulled up some pictures that were online, mainly in her case, it'd be real estate listings. And she wanted to get a capture the picture, the photo of the house that's on the screen. So she'd do a typical right click on the photo and do a save, and it would save it to wherever she put it. The pictures natively are all JPEGs. And when she's done this before on all of her machines, previous machine, she had no problem. It would save as a JPEG. Well, Windows 11 decided that it's going to save them all as GIFs or GIF. I don't know what you want to say, a GIF or a GIF, but a GIF. So I thought this was strange. Every one of them was a GIF. I did a little research and found you have to hack the registry to change that. It's a very simple thing to do, but for whatever reason, the default in Windows 11 on saving photos is a GIF.
That's surprising because in the past I've run into saving pictures and images, etc. It wanting to do PNG instead, because that's supposed to be the format to replace GIF.
The snipping tool by default saves as PNG, but you can change that.
Right. Now, this was not using the snipping tool. This was just right click on a photo and save. And,
yeah, photos and Edge each have their way of doing it.
And that could be, maybe it was, but whatever it was a registry change that I had to make on the machine. It was relatively simple to do. And I will further on that when she went and did a right click in front of me, she'd do it. And it would say, the file name, and then it'd say .jpg. But yet when it saved it, it still saved it as a GIF. So it's kind of like, why are you doing that?
Well, see, in 11 too, you got to watch your browser pages, because there's suddenly a little tiny faint camera-like image. And if you click on that, it will take the image, bring it up in a side panel that'll allow you to manipulate it as well as save it.
Yeah.
I find that irritating.
That may have occurred, but I didn't see that side panel show up.
I have had many times I'm trying to get X to close off an email as an example, and this damn little camera is there, and it refuses to get out of the way.
Well, what do you know?
Amazing.
Mr. Hoy has shown up already.
Yeah, before the meeting was over with.
By the way, the Microsoft Answers thread, which talks about the registry change, I have linked in chat.
Thank you.
And yes, you do have to do a registry change in Edge if you want to be sure.
Yeah. Again, I think she was using Chrome browser in this case, but it was just an interesting thing that I never ran across before.
Edge, Chrome, they're both Chromium based.
Yeah, right. I'm just saying that the fact it was saving a JPEG as a GIF, that little subtlety things.
I haven't seen that yet myself, Nat, but
and this is a new machine, so I don't know if what you were experiencing on the other machines were once it's been moved up from 10 or 7 to 10 to 11 or 10 to 11 or something like that. I don't know. This is straight out of the box the way it came.
Well, see, the other thing about 11 that seems to be a little bit strange, the industry for websites has been trying to kill off JPEG especially for pictures, for years now, wanting everybody to post in a PNG instead. And some of them are trying to enforce it lightly, but I have run into that where sometimes it will say, hey, you want to put a JPEG out there? No, thank you. You're going to have to convert it to a PNG, then we'll let you post it.
Okay, tired snow shovel. What does that mean, Terry? Does that mean you retired it? Or you're tired of shoveling? What is,
Yeah, well, yeah.
okay.
I'm out of
Yeah, at some point I gave earlier in
hey, I got it. Yeah, I'm just out of shape, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, so um let's see what else. Bob, you had brought up that you had discovered some unique ways of clearing up space on your hard drive because your Nook was running out of room.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how we want. First of all, let me finish putting something into chat. There, that's about Chrome. Chrome's default seems to be WebP.
Hmm.
And people are running into that. So there's a whole article. Anyway,
Thank you, Bob.
as we left off last time, I was talking about some tools that I use. And I think the best thing for me to do is minimize you guys and minimize. Oh, I think I'd better open something in my web browser and then share it. Because I think a lot of people may not have a full understanding of what Win side by side is. This was what I found was large and had been growing a lot, and it does grow over time. And there are certain things that cause it to grow. So let me see if I can do a share screen. Okay. And we'll minimize you guys for a while. How to reclaim space by reducing the size of the Win side-by-side folder on Windows 10. I have a tool called I have a tool called Wiz something or another. Let me find out what it is. WizTree.
Okay, what was it called? Oh, WizTree, right.
Yeah, it requires administrator. There. And we'll just do a scan of my C drive. Right now, it's actually not too bad, but here it is. Win side by side is 10.4 gigabytes. I found out something from the article that I'm going to keep up here. The Win side by side folder isn't always as large as some tools say it is. I'm going to perform an experiment right here, right now with File Explorer. Now, WizTree is telling me that Win side by side is 10.4 gigabytes. Let me see if I can navigate to it in Windows File Explorer. I
No,
may.
it's in Windows.
Yeah, it's in Windows.
Windows, yeah.
And it's down toward the
Up
bottom.
towards the bottom.
And it's
right
Win
there.
side by side. And let me just get properties. And it is going to keep chugging. And it's going to tell me
Oh, it's pretty fast.
how big it is going. Well, I have a fast processor. Very fast processor. It also says 10.4 gigabytes. This makes me suspicious that maybe we're seeing more than is actually there. Why? Because as the article is telling us, the actual size on the disk isn't as big as it may seem. The problem is that most people would use File Explorer to calculate its size. And apparently WizTree leverages that. Because the folder uses hard linking, this is what is known in Unix as a symlink. In Windows, it's known as a shortcut. It uses hard linking. So it points toward files that contain a lot more data than actually is present on the disk in Win side by side. And this gets worse and worse as you install more programs. However, if you really need to free up some space, and I did, you won't be able to delete this folder. Why not? Because Win side by side is an essential folder within the Windows folder. It houses most of the components to customize and update your current setup. There are files to add or remove features, switch additions, recover damaged or missing system files, that's DISM, and pretty much everything else that makes up your operating system. So when you install quality updates, new components will store in the Win side by side folder among 2 or 3 other places. And the previous version of the components will still be stored. As a result, the folder will continue to increase in size over time without any set limit. There's no limit to it, except the limit on your disk space. And the same thing happens if you frequently update programs. So bringing up WizTree, what you will see is Win side by side, and also in System 32, the driver store will be 2 areas that will tend to get big. The driver store really does have a lot of stuff in it. Win side by side may not have as much as it looks like. So that's what I learned from that. So what did I do? Using this tool, I found there were a lot of copies of videos from meetings we had done for our Zoom meetings. Tim had also recommended some videos in some emails. And I had somehow managed to generate many copies of the same video. And it happened with another user group where I had a folder full of videos for a presentation that got duplicated and duplicated and duplicated. So I spent a whole morning taking out these extra videos. That alone saved me probably well over 10 gigabytes on my backup drives. And on my main drive, maybe a few gigabytes. But it's this Win side by side that was over 10 gigabytes, maybe 12 gigabytes bloated. And
Where
that's
did you-
without a Windows.old.
Where did you find these videos that were hiding around on your hard drive?
Well, you can look into other drives that you may have. For example, I have another drive that's data. And it has various folders because I use a lot of folders. And let's go with the shared data because what I have are some saved meetings. I save a lot of meeting notes. There's also some mail downloads, and there might still be something. Nope, these are all big PDFs. But there were videos. And this group had at one time a lot of videos in it, because this, for example, was about the rebuilding of Notre Dame Cathedral. And I had downloaded, today it would be considered illegal, but I had downloaded in this folder 8 or 9 videos. They were short videos, but they added up to a lot of space taken up. And if you do that on a small system drive, you're going to quickly get into trouble. And again, with Win side by side, the same thing can happen if you keep on updating programs, modifying your settings. And like Tim, I do a lot of that. I do a lot of experimenting, a lot of playing around. And so that's how it happened. And again, you still have the appearance that the driver store is still over 3 gig, which is smaller than my downloads by quite a bit. Oh, and in downloads, I found several ISOs. Those are huge, probably over 1 gigabyte each, up to 2 gigabytes. And those I got rid of because they were obsolete. I had things like an entire download of certain Linux distros that I was trying out. And if those get duplicated, you're in trouble. So again, how do you clean this? Okay, so let's go into one of the methods that they say. We're not going to use the command prompt because you can do real damage by using that method. But you can do something called storage. Let's do storage. And it's storage settings in Windows 11. It's a little different in Windows 10. In Windows 10, you're more likely to use the other tool, which I'll show in a minute. And it'll load up some stuff. Normally, in temporary files, you won't just have what I've got. You'll also have some Windows Update files that are leftovers for rolling back updates. And those may already have expired, but they don't get cleaned up. And you may have driver download packages. You remember I update my drivers frequently. Well, those can take up a lot of space too. They can take up many megabytes, tens of hundreds of megabytes, even gigabytes on some systems. If you have done a feature update or upgrade or a version upgrade, as I had done, you might have a Windows.old that could be tens of gigabytes. So these are among the things you can clean. But if you want to get into more detail, you might want to go beyond this. I'm going to refresh this and show you. See, it goes so fast on my system, you can't see what it's doing, but it's going through the whole process of going through the different kinds of components. Let me show you another method that will tell us a little bit more in detail. The old disk cleanup tool from the control panel, which every version of Windows since XP has. And let me see if I can get to the control panel. Better yet, disk cleanup. Yes, I am able to do that. Now, normally you would run it as administrator, but since I'm not in an administrator account, let's just run it. I may not be able to do system files from here, but here's what you've got. Downloaded program files, which you do not want to get rid of. By the way, these downloaded program files are not my downloads folder. In storage management in Windows 11 and 10, it does list your downloads folder. Don't check that off. But here, downloaded program files is something different. Temporary internet files, there's a little bit. And DirectX shader, that has to do with my graphics. Delivery optimization, that's Windows Update. Recycle bin might have a lot in it. Temporary files, those are all kinds of files. Now let's look at some other stuff that's a little deeper. Administrator privileges are needed. And device driver packages, Windows Rescue, lots of nice stuff. Device driver packages. I don't have any because I've cleaned them recently, but you might have a lot. Language resource files, not really usually a big source. Right now there isn't all that much being listed. There's a little bit of Microsoft Defender or antivirus.
What would be in that? What would be in that folder or that file that you'd want to clean up?
Which one?
That one, right? Defender.
Defender will keep files associated with doing its definitions updates.
But
now, some of these files are just temporary files. Others actually are associated with keeping Defender up to date and communicating with the Microsoft servers for new updates. And you would not want to get rid of those. Same thing happens in Windows Update. You don't want to reset everything all the time. But if you get a stuck update, you might have to. But that's all beyond the scope of what we're talking about here.
And on this administrator's list, if you've done an upgrade like from 22H2 to 23H2, you would have a Windows old folder.
Right.
It depends upon the upgrades. I've seen some old files of what's left over from the prior version of Windows go between 25 and 30 gigabytes.
Yes, it can happen. And on my NUC, I had probably 15 at 15 to 20 gigabytes initially. But after about 10 days, those can be gotten rid of, and I did.
Right.
You can also manage system restore if you have it active, which I do. I would only do that as administrator. So that's what we got here. And that's how I reclaimed a total of about 20 gigabytes out of a little over maybe 112 or 120. I had over 120 available that I was using, and there was about 80 gig used. But it was getting up toward 100. And once you get up toward that full on an SSD, you don't have enough spare space to do some of the stuff you need to do. So that's what happened.
Question.
Question.
What about the thing that's called Windows Update Cleanup?
The Windows Update Cleanup is included in these cleanup utilities. If you ever need to do anything more with the Windows Update Cleanup, it's usually because an update failed or
Okay.
because it keeps recurring over and over again and again. That's a reset. And you lose all your update history and you lose some other things from Windows Update, and it has to redo them. The next time you restart, it will do the little circle like it is installing updates because it needs to restore some of that stuff.
So is this an area that can be cleaned up?
It can, but normally you won't gain a whole lot of space that way.
Okay.
Some systems you will, but not usually.
Mine is showing 2.5 gigs.
Is it showing this under delivery optimization? Because that's the part that can be cleaned.
No, it says Windows Update Cleanup.
Okay, well, if it says that it can be done in disk cleanup, I don't think there would be any harm in doing it.
Okay.
I didn't have anything, but I believe you, it can show up.
Okay.
And it can get pretty big.
There's another tool that isn't part of what Bob is all referring to on cleanup from Microsoft team called PC Manager. And it pulls together several of the individual applications for cleaning up your system. You used to have to know and execute them one at a time. Now they're all in one place, and that particular piece of software seemed to do a pretty decent job, including basically the running of Cleanup Manager. So it's another tool in the arsenal, I guess is the best way to put it. I can probably demo it if you want.
Is this a free application?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
It's a new front end to pull all the existing tools in Windows together in one managing program.
Go ahead. Show us how this works, Tim.
And
What's it called again?
hang on a minute here. Let me.
Windows Cleanup Manager.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's one of these new things that they should have done decades ago.
Oh, heck, I can go back to XP or Vista at least. Open PC Manager. That's what I'm doing now. Here is Microsoft's PC Manager. It has a lot of tools. This is the current version. I'm not sure for if you go to a Microsoft site to download it, it used to download version 1, which is more primitive than this. But under tools, I can turn on this toolbar that I can put at the top, right, or left side, and it gives me some features, including here what's called boost speed. All this is to clear out memory that isn't really being used anymore from something that was running and got left in memory. Then you have a health check, and this is going through looking for issues that may be taking up space or being a problem, in giving you also the ability to turn on or off various startup applications that you may or may not know that are running. Occasionally I come across one, but I know most of the programs that will add to the startup applications, and I usually get rid of those right away. And I just say remove. It'll go through and clean that up. Click done. Deep clean is technically running mostly cleanup manager that Bob demoed there, and gives you, again, that same feature plus some additional applications that you would have to know about and run separately to do a more thorough cleanup. And this varies on the size of your drive, the horsepower of the computer, which is a combination of CPU, memory, and your storage access speed. And this one here, I usually check off these three here. It has the application caches, which includes your browsers, which you might want, like Firefox here. I might want to have that one cleaned up, but the others are so small, I'd probably skip that. If the recycle bin is larger than this tiny amount, I might put a check mark in that. And I have Edge temporary files from pages it downloads. I'll check that. Proceed. It'll do the cleanup. When it's done, I click on done. It'll come up in a minute. But if you want the most current version, there's a GitHub site where you get the most current version. I'm on 3 point something here. I can't remember what version number offhand. There's settings down here that I can bring up.
But this is not at Microsoft's site?
Version 1 I know is. I don't know if they finally started putting the newer version out on Microsoft's site. The GitHub is owned by Microsoft.
Okay.
And it's their people who are making these various extra tools like Power Toys and PC Manager, the new OneDrive backup program that's in 11 that maybe will end up in 10 too, but I'm not betting on that. If I come in here, there's a few other settings, and I'm on version 3.4.1.0, and I don't know that that's the latest version because you have to manually update it. But at least it's a tool that pulls a lot of the standard cleanup tools that have been in Windows for many, many versions, and it works on 10 and 11, both. So it's an added tool that can make some of what Bob brought up, and especially in that article, even easier nowadays to use. And this has only been around for about 6 or 8 months. And I didn't find out about it until September or October. That was the first I came across it. So, and it gives you lots of things. Even Microsoft Store here, you can click on it, and it brings up the store just for convenience. You can do that from your taskbar, and you can go down to libraries and say in the button near the upper right, get updates, and it will find out what stuff you have. Here's the library entry. You click on get updates, and it's showing you right now all the Microsoft Store apps you already have. Clicking get update will find out what ones are out of date and there's a new version, and it will let you then initiate doing an update of those application programs to keep them up to date as well as your other programs that you install. Sanford?
Are you running the beta or the official?
It's all beta.
It's all beta.
There's no official.
Okay.
Power Toys itself is all beta. It's not even up to version 1. So a lot of this stuff is classified beta, probably because Microsoft doesn't want to officially support it, even though it's their development site with their own people in their spare time creating these tools. So I'm going to get out of that and I'll stop sharing. There we
Thank
go.
you, Tim.
So that's another good tool.
And I am putting a couple of places you can get it into chat. Both a very recent version from GitHub, and also the Microsoft place.
Well,
so the 1.2.4 is available through GitHub. And the one you can get from Microsoft is the stable version.
Ah, okay.
All I can tell you is every time I went to Microsoft site, I got an old version. Every time I go to the GitHub, I get the newest version. And why that is, I can't tell you. Really, the GitHub, because it's Microsoft owned and it's Microsoft employees who are creating it, like Power Toys, I just go there and get the latest, greatest version.
Yeah, it depends on whether you want to get the most cutting edge version, and there's a little bit of risk in it, or whether you want the more stable version they've got at Microsoft.
Well,
that's a personal choice.
Yes, and I don't disagree with that, but I will say I haven't had a problem yet. And you do have to go into the settings to see what settings are set, just like any program you put on your computer. You should always check out settings, or some of them will call it preferences, which is the same thing as settings. And you may find features you want in your programs to be functional, but are turned off to reduce customer support by whoever the developer of the program is.
It depends on whether you feel you know what you're doing, or whether you feel you're just an average person who would really rather just stick with the safe defaults. I mean, there are different kinds of people, different degrees to what you need to use the more advanced features. And it's nice to know you've got options.
Thank you.
So that's cleanup and many other fine things.
Yeah. Oh, but how did you? I want to circle back to something you touched on, and that is your Windows side by side.
Yeah.
How did you clean up that?
Win side by side. Let me go back to what the article has to say about that, because it does talk about it. Let me just do that. And then how to clean it. In the article, what it tells you, let me see if I can get onto a share here. Okay. Let's suppose you're using disk cleanup. You can shrink the size of the Win side-by-side folder with the legacy tool, and then they open it. And the general tab, cleanup, and then the system files tab, as I showed. And Windows Update Cleanup is one of the biggest things that accumulates in there. The reason you don't go to the command prompt is if you use the DISM controls, there is a parameter that says reset base. That will clean out a lot of stuff, but it will mean you can no longer roll back your software and your feature updates and your Windows updates. And so like I say, the parts that you want to do are the optimization delivery. If Windows Update Cleanup is available, you do that one. And driver packages. That's where most of the bulk of your Win side-by-side and some of your driver store will accumulate.
On the DISM tool for cleanup, which is start components cleanup, the /reset base is an option. It's not required. Most of the time I use it without reset, but on some systems I have used the reset and had not had a problem because I don't do it right after a Windows monthly update or upgrade. I wait a period of time, sometimes just shortly before the next monthly update or upgrade is going to take place. Then I run it with the reset base because odds are I'm not going to be wanting or needing to roll back anything.
Yeah, some of your software uninstall information may also be in Win side-by-side for some programs.
Yes.
And that's why if you don't really know what you're doing, you don't want to be manually doing things in there. And that's why I shy away from doing the command line version of it.
Yeah, but that's
easy.
That's also where I and even Al have been supporting in the past Revo uninstaller because you don't have to worry about the uninstaller getting blown away because it may no longer be needed. Revo will take out the program anyhow.
There is, however, one kind of issue that can arise. And I found this happened to me with LibreOffice. If you take out the old installers, the new installer won't work because it depends on things that are in the old installer and in the things the Windows installer picked up from the old installer. It's one of those few programs where the only install that they seem to have is an upgrade installer.
Mm-hmm.
And I know why they do it. They do it to save space on the download.
Sure.
But doing an initial install on a clean, pristine system, bare metal, of LibreOffice can be a real pain in the butt.
It's very slow in download as well as the installation, even on an upgrade. But it seems to be a very solid suite of programs that can handle much of the Microsoft software that's created by Office. But it depends upon a Microsoft Office user, how many advanced features that aren't in LibreOffice does the document have? Because LibreOffice wouldn't know what to do with those advanced features. But there's a lot of people that are using real old versions of Microsoft Office, even back to version 2004. Well, it won't even read docx files or xlsx files to begin with. So if anybody's creating from 2007 version of Office forward documents and tries to give it to somebody who's trying to only skate by with Office 2004 back to 2097, they ain't going to be able to do anything with your file anyhow.
If LibreOffice cannot handle the formatting, sometimes WPS Office can. And that's a free one.
Mm-hmm.
The main difference is WPS Office is made in China and LibreOffice is made in Europe.
Pick your point.
And of course, they have different capabilities. They have different formats they support, or different styles and fonts.
If you're using, if you're having to deal with Microsoft Office file formats, sometimes Google Docs will handle it, but not always.
And also there is Office Online, which you can use for free.
Mm-hmm. Through your browser.
Yeah, I have done that for at least one presentation where I needed to convert.
Mm-hmm. I've used that in the past myself. Also, if you have your Windows, say, standard account attached to Microsoft, you have the option of having Outlook.com email program. And in the upper left corner, you can open up these free limited versions of the Microsoft suite of software and be able to create them. It puts your documents in the OneDrive. That's the only caveat. And then you'd have to download a copy of that to your local drive.
Are we losing Bob?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gone. All right. I was reading what he wrote there, and he said he's going to look for it on YouTube, and I almost thought it said hot tub. So that's okay. Terry notices hot tub too, right?
Right.
Terry, how's that hot tub working for you?
I wait a maybe been a little colder out there, but
What are
we'll get
you
out
talking
there.
about? This is perfect weather to go in a hot tub.
Well, I still got the gout issue to, you know.
Okay, you
get
can't
resolved.
go in a hot
Yeah,
tub.
I'm recovering from the surgery. They had to take the gout note out, so
Oh, that's okay.
I
I
gotta
got you.
take that a little easy.
Okay, so I sent out a listing of possible topics for everyone to take a look at. Is there any of interest for what we could go over tonight?
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, what does that mean? Uh-oh.
I better go look at the list.
You think I do this just for the fun?
I think the second one would be appropriate for anybody who uses Wi-Fi outside of their home.
Okay, how to spot a fake evil twin on a public network. That is a very good one. Let's open that hyperlink. Okay. And what do we got? Is it this one? Yeah. All right. So, how to spot fake evil twin. Okay, so the topic here has to do with you go to a place like Starbucks and you go to connect to their network. How do you know that you're actually going on the Starbucks site, going through their router, or going through somebody else's fake router that could be, hacking or stealing your information from you? So, the Starbucks is just one of them. Many of the other places you go, they have free Wi-Fi. So I'm trying to see what they say here. Yeah, they call them man-in-the-middle attacks because they're catching it because it's an insecure website or router, that is. Da, da, da.
Sometimes the problem is that they don't have passwords, or they have the password posted, so it's easy to
Right.
duplicate it.
So I'm trying to see here where they actually tell you how to identify this. They tell you what it is,
There
how
it is. How to spot.
how to spot.
You don't want to start spotting.
Huh. Oddly enough, the evil twins are easy to spot because they are password protected.
In
If
usually,
yeah,
usually they use a name almost identical, except for maybe one character, to the real businesses public Wi-Fi.
I like this one. This is actually a good point here. If the network is really slow, then there's a good possibility you're on a rogue network, because that would make sense because they're piggybacking on somebody else's signal.
yeah.
So you're going through their router, and then their router is talking to, let's say, the Starbucks router. If it shows that you're not using encryption on a place where you should be encrypted, like you're talking to your bank, which is the stupidest thing in the world to do any banking on a public network.
Or purchasing either.
Yeah, but I would say the purchasing for sure, because if you have to enter your credit card information, unless it's stored somewhere on somebody else's servers, that could be captured. But for one of the things, never do any banking or anything that's going to be like stock trades or something. Granted, you might feel a desperate need to do it, but find another way to get online. I myself, if I desperate need to do something, I would turn my phone into a hotspot and go through my phone, even if it's just for a short bit. And you have to pay, roaming fees or something like that. It's secured to go through your phone because it's using 128-bit encryption versus an open public Wi-Fi has 0 encryption.
Let's see, also going online and purchasing. Even if you have a site that has your stored credit card, so what? As you go to the website, they got the URL, they will be able to see your username and probably your password, or be able to crack the password and be able to get into your real online account and use your credit cards that are posted there.
So I guess what you got to do is you got to look up at your URLs that are going on in the top and see if it's directing you to places that is not where you're anticipating needing to go. That is to say, let's say BMO Harris Bank, and I don't know what their URL is, but let's say it's bmo.com. All right, just for conversation. But in your URL, it'll say BMO1.com. And that would be definitely a giveaway that you're on a rogue or a hacked site. So you find a little subtle changes in that URL could be all you need to be the red flag for you. Using a VPN is a good idea, even on a public, especially on a public Wi-Fi. I don't know how many here have VPNs or access to them, but I myself have one built into my Asus router, so I can VPN through my home router when I'm traveling. That's the key here. It's only when I'm traveling am I VPN through my home router. I've discussed this before, but it's just the built-in ability that you use OpenVPN and you connect to the router. It's located in my house, and then I'm surfing the web from there, from that point. So that helps me. I don't personally need a VPN at home to mask my IP address. I don't do things that I feel I need to do that. Some people do.
Note that paragraph at the top of the page right now.
Oop.
Oh, no, right there.
Oh,
That disable, right above that heading. Subheading.
okay. What to do if you connect to an evil twin?
Right above it, the paragraph right above it.
Scroll up.
The paragraph, right there. It
Yeah.
starts with the word disable.
Go up.
Disabling your
The other
device.
way.
Down, it's down below. Disabling your devices.
Auto connect to Wi-Fi. Very important feature.
A lot of people, especially younger generation, usually have it on so they can do whatever the heck they want to do on their devices, like a phone or a tablet. And that's most dangerous. You want to select what site your Wi-Fi connects to, not your devices doing an auto connect to the nearest, strongest connection.
Okay, I think we covered this topic. Do we have another thing in my list? Terry, I know you read through that list. What'd you find, Terry?
Yeah, I just download.
What?
I don't know what he said.
Oh,
Sharing it with other people.
James, you got anything topics in there, or did you see the topic list that I sent out? You're muted, James.
it's in your invite. The invite, you clicked on the link to get into this Zoom meeting. It's there.
Oh, it's there.
Yeah, take a few minutes to take a look through that list there and see if there's any topics you'd like us to cover.
Sanford, here's another one. How to restart your PC with just the keyboard. I have a segue, but I won't get into it in this meeting.
This is actually a very good thing to know. So let me pull up this article. Oh. Okay, that didn't work.
I will mention that I've had an experience, and I've used the keyboard exclusively in the past, so I had an idea of what I'm doing. But I had a driver update that disabled the mouse. Now what do? You just lost your mouse on your system. How do you get anything accomplished, including shutting down, restarting, rolling back that bad driver?
mean, like reboot the system?
Oh, you can reboot the
That's what
system.
it's saying. How to restart your computer when you just have the keyboard and you don't have a mouse.
Yeah, and if you get a bad driver for your system, you've got to be able to roll it back. That means you have to, a restart isn't going to get you anything. your mouse is still disabled. So all you've got is your keyboard, and you got to know how to get around in Windows, get to the device manager, find that one driver, and roll back the driver. Now you can restart, and now you got your mouse back.
So it's saying here, this is real simple. Just know that it's Alt and F4. And in some cases, it might be function Alt F4. F4.
It depends on the keyboard and how it was set up by that manufacturer.
Alt.
Sanford, we're not hearing you.
Sanford, you lost audio. Okay, he knows.
He knows.
Sorry. I hit the Alt F4 and it muted my microphone.
Yeah, that's a Zoom feature.
Yeah.
Actually, Alt F4 is also used. Whatever your active program is on your computer, the one usually with a colored bar at the top, Alt F4 will close that program or application. And if your audio for your mic is a separate application and it was active, then Alt F4 will close it.
Right. And so I just tried that and it wants to close Zoom and it would create a lot of havoc. So I cannot demonstrate Alt F4. Actually, it was function Alt F4. And
still recording.
Keyboard.
Alt F4 is your emergency shutdown of possibly a rogue program, but it's not 100%. I've had a few instances where the program stopped working. Alt F4 couldn't get rid of it. The only option there was a reboot.
And I can share with you, I've had the same situation show up or similar, where my mouse suddenly stopped working for whatever reason. Could be as simple as it's a wireless mouse and the battery went out on it, and then you put a battery back in, the system doesn't recognize it. So how do you reboot? Knowing this Alt F4 is very handy.
Well, Alt F4 is one option. There are some other additional options, but that's too deep to go into here.
Right. What did I do? I think I closed my browser. Oops.
Very possible with the
Yeah,
Alt.
when I did the Alt F4, it closed my browser.
Whatever on your desktop is open, every time you hit Alt F4, it starts closing the first one that's active, then the next one, and the next one, until you're down to no open programs on your desktop. Then Alt F4 will actually give you the option to restart. So basically, you're at first using Alt F4 to close all your programs properly. Then you're using Alt F4 to give you the option to be able to close and reboot the computer.
So Alt F4 will do a shutdown. If you want to do a restart, it says here you press the Windows key plus X on your keyboard, then press U.
Yes.
Then press R.
Right. That's you're down at the bottom of the Windows X menu is your options for doing a restart, for doing a shutdown, or a sign out of the current logged in account. And also, if you have hibernation active, you can also do a hibernation.
Okay, that was a good subject.
They're all good subjects.
Oh, good subject. Okay, Tom O'Connor, pick something out.
How about CoPilot? That thing pops up at the worst times. I don't know what exactly what it is, or I don't know what it's supposed to do or whatever. CoPilot.
Okay. You're coming up with how to disable CoPilot.
Yeah,
First,
it seems to pop up at the worst times or whatever.
So let's pull up that.
I guess say what is it, and then how do you get rid of it? I guess.
What do you know about it?
It just pops up and takes half the screen. That's about it.
And,
Yeah.
and you never tried to Google it and see what it is?
No, I just I just get irritated and try and make it go away or whatever. Yeah. What is it? Some kind of defensive mechanism or?
Well, if you read the article I have up here on the screen, it says it's Microsoft's new AI assistant. And there's I guess, what's this? Is this taken over for Cortana?
Yes.
So this is rebranding Cortana.
No, it's not rebranding. It's absolutely replacing it altogether.
Okay. So it's going to be a voice-enabled assistant, correct?
It has that option if you turn on the microphone when you bring up CoPilot. Otherwise, you type in whatever you're trying to get the AI to help you with.
Okay, so it's saying here by default, it's turned on.
It
And
is.
you may,
The
Go ahead.
caveat is not all of us have gotten this rolled out yet.
but this is Windows 11 though.
And Windows 10 may get some features through the browser.
Only through the browser, but there's a remote chance they will actually port the taskbar version like in 11 back to 10, but I wouldn't count on it because of the expected life of 10. But you have to have 23H2 in 11 to get the CoPilot on your taskbar, but it's also in the Edge browser. And more of the browsers are adding some kind of AI assistant, just like CoPilot is.
Now, what Terry was asking is, what can CoPilot do for us if we do want to use it?
That depends upon each individual.
Well, what does it? Well, we saw what it does. It's an AI enhanced feature. So I guess you could use it similar to ChatGBT.
It is ChatGPT because Microsoft bought into ChatGPT, but now it's on version 4 plus I think DALL-E version 3.
Well, I mean, I got Windows 10 and CoPilot shows up. Here it says 11. So
In the browser, if you're using the Edge browser, it's up in the upper right-hand corner. It's a bluish icon. And when you click on that, it brings up a pane on the right-hand side of the browser called CoPilot. And you can use it to find things for you. You can use it to revise or create a document. In short, it depends upon you and your knowledge on computers and the AI clients that have been talked about in the West Side group in the past, as well as tips and tricks, and use the AIs even in businesses. More and more businesses are having and expecting new employees to be able to use the AI clients for increased productivity.
oh boy.
And if you don't have the skill, you may not have a job.
Oh wow.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing to get to know. There's all kinds of features that it could help you out with. It's just a matter of employing them. So this article does tell you how to go ahead and how to edit the UAC controls for it to turn it off. And you could read through here if you feel you need to do it.
Yeah, thank you. Well,
Um,
it just pops up at the worst times in the middle of something,
well, what is popping up on you?
the CoPilot thing, it takes half my screen and it says, it pops up and there it is, CoPilot, and taking up half my screen or whatever.
He's clicking on either that icon in the upper right area by accident, or in settings, it's been turned on to come up all the time.
No, it just seems to just pick the worst times.
Huh.
It's a tool. If you don't want to use a tool, you can use your fingers instead of using screwdrivers, pliers, hammers, etc., or power drills, power saws, etc., etc. This is the same concept in general.
So let's see. What does CoPilot look like?
Oh, there's right here in this Windows image down on the taskbar, because this is showing 11, you see right in the center of the taskbar, that's the CoPilot on 11. But it's this is a 2-color on 11. In 10 on the browser, that icon is all bluish color.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Well, you should be seeing it on yours if you're referring to that.
Well, no, yeah, I got 10, so.
Yeah, but he's on 10, so his icon is all bluish color, not two-tone like in 11.
So
Yeah.
he could go over here to the personalization and turn it off.
That's correct.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that would be,
Yeah, I got it, because it's.
But that's in 11 that you're showing right now.
well, very true.
Doesn't apply in 10. Here you have to go into, I think it's the apps under settings, all installed apps, and I think you can disable it there. I don't remember all the details.
So this is available, it doesn't tell you in 10 what version it is.
Actually, there are settings inside of Edge itself that can, and yes, it's sidebar app and notification settings.
Yeah.
So let me give Microsoft's rundown on it and put that in chat,
Okay,
just in case Terry
anyone here
figures
used
it
that?
out this way.
has anyone used CoPilot yet?
Yes. Several
Okay. And it works just like ChatGBT, Bard?
and Bard, and I use Bard as well.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't checked out yet Gemini for Google. That's another one.
Okay,
Tom and Beata know that I have used it. I just told them in general I used an AI tool, and it happened to be CoPilot.
okay, so now if you follow the link in the chat
Okay,
or save the chat, and you can look at everything in the chat later.
Okay, before the end of the meeting, you have to tell Terry how to get the chat information loaded onto his computer. I'm not joking when I say that.
Yeah, we
so
will.
this is the screenshot.
that.
This is the page that Bob just sent us the link to.
Yep.
It shows CoPilot in Edge and talks about it being how to enable it in Edge. Interesting. They tell you how to enable it, but
They tell you how to disable it too.
Well, to
it
enable
is used.
once you've got it enabled, you do it again and it disables it.
We have the manage.
Switch.
The manage paragraph is what will tell you how to get to it.
There you go.
app-specific settings, CoPilot. And you can turn it on or off.
Right.
Or allow, and it's allow Microsoft to access the page content. If you turn that off, then CoPilot can't do anything.
Okay.
And it won't pop up.
Ah, so Terry, pay attention to this page.
Yeah.
I'm on it now.
You
Yeah,
got- James looks like he might have a question.
James?
Just look at his CoPilot, trying to understand it, because I don't use it.
So your question is,
I'm just listening, not trying to get information about it.
oh, okay.
yeah.
So have you played at all with any of the software like ChatGBT or Bard?
I've looked at it, but I haven't tried it yet. It's kind of, all I do is play games. I don't do much work on it.
Okay. Well, I know that we've demoed it before.
Right.
Let's see, just to quickly, I think I have ChatGBT open up here somewhere.
The main idea is,
Either that or I could bring up CoPilot on mine and share.
yeah, the main idea of all of these is instead of typing keywords into a search box, we can now ask natural language questions as prompts, and then the AI can give us as much or as little as we ask it to give.
Okay, so let's do something simple here. James, you got grandkids?
Nope,
No grandkids.
no grandkids,
You got a dog?
no dog,
Cat?
no cat.
Do you have?
I
You
just
got a
have a
car?
wife.
You got a car?
Yep.
Okay, let's play homage to a car. Okay, so tell me, I'm in this application, it's called Bard, which is it's bard.google.com. Tell me a story about what kind of car you got there?
Equinox, Chevy Equinox,
Chevy
Equinox.
Equinox.
That's a small truck.
And okay, and tell me about a vacation that you'd love to drive your car on, wherever it may be.
Tahiti.
Branson,
I mean,
Missouri.
I'm sorry,
Branson, Missouri,
Branson, and
Missouri.
driving around Branson, Missouri. Let's see if it does. There you go. I just told it to tell me a story, and it wrote a story about driving your Chevy Equinox around Branson. How easy is that to do?
Real easy.
And now if you had grandkids, you could say, write a story, a short story that I could tell my grandkids. So let's see if I move my screen around, I can't see.
Another topic while you're doing your work is you got a computer problem. Okay, bring up any of the AI programs like CoPilot or Bard and ask it, this is my problem I'm having. What do I do? Or something like that. And all these programs are real sensitive as to how you state your problem or questions.
Right.
Okay.
I like how it ends this. The next morning, as you started the engine and pointed your Equinox towards home, you carried with you not just the memories of Brampson's bright lights and hidden waterfalls, but a renewed appreciation for the simple joy of the open road. This is really well written.
Another interesting thing about AI is if it gives you an answer that you feel is too general, you can refine your terms and have it answer again, and it will give you something more detailed.
So I could tell this, make this story shorter. And let's see what it does. All right, look at that. It took that thing that was like 10 paragraphs and boiled it down to one. So this is, as Bob was saying, James, is the power of these AI softwares, these ChatGBT, is you don't have to restart your conversation and tell it what you want it to do. You just keep going and keep going.
Suppose you're planning a trip or something, some travel, and you just start out by asking what are some good restaurants in that area. Then you might ask about, well, I think I'm going to want some seafood, or I'm going to want some Italian or whatever. What are some good restaurants for that? And then you can refine and refine and refine. Or you might plan an itinerary according to the times that you want to arrive different places.
Okay, and you just hit
Things
there
I've
about restaurants.
seen people use it for.
I told it to give me some restaurants in Branson, Missouri.
Okay, now, before you get out of sharing that screen, click on new chat. There's a reason I want to have you bring that up.
Okay, new chat. All right.
Okay, now here at the top, you have three different categories: understanding, create, and explore. In CoPilot, you have creative, balanced, and precision. If I'm going for a computer problem resolution, I always select precision. I could also do balance, but I would not do the creative. And the reason is this is where you would use that category because you're needing to make, say, some kind of a document, and you're putting in pieces of ideas to be written about. And then when you turn it loose, it creates a document for you. But under the left side category, you get what's more of what's called hallucination, meaning it's making up things, not necessarily accurate information. That's why on AIs, you have to look and make certain everything that it says is really accurate, because it can hallucinate and steer you in the wrong direction on whatever it is you're trying to do. Also, because of the characteristics of the AI, some software is out there for more professional people, bosses and supervisors, etc., to know whether an AI created the document you gave them or it was likely created by you. You take the AI suggestion, you massage it as a human being using your brain, and end up with a document. You just have to check out to make sure all the facts that it states are correct.
Okay, so I asked it Terry's question, how to stop CoPilot pop-ups in Windows 11. And it just told me how to do it. And it gives you all the way down to even editing the registry and how to do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing the registry edit unless you have prior experience with the registry.
I concur. What my point is it tells you a good detail information.
Yeah. Yes.
Someone had a question?
No.
Okay. The reason why the registry is used is that group policy isn't all that straightforward either. And you don't have group policy in the home edition.
But there's an article there that tells you how to get to it.
Yeah, but the thing is, it doesn't work. You
Yeah.
can put in anything related to group policy into the home edition, and the registry values do not exist to implement it. So it's a little misleading to say you can put it into home edition. You really can't. But there are programs that can write registry changes automatically. And that can work nicely, or it can be very dangerous.
Sanford, offhand, would you like me to bring up CoPilot?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah, let's take a look.
bring up the desktop. Share. And I'll come down here. Come on. Ooh, you're gonna be stubborn. There you are. Are you able to see this coming up? Hello?
Nothing.
I see loading
Yeah, but
and a blank box in the middle.
hang on. Now how does that look? Do you see any additional?
We see text on the right-hand panel. Discover the device offerings of information to everyone.
Yes, it did something on its own, but down here in the bottom, this is where you would type in something like how is CES 2024 going? Now it's thinking, and it's still processing. And this is what it came up with so far. So I can put in something like that. I can also, if you see this microphone here and you have not disabled a key setting in Windows 11, you can turn on voice activation. Mine is now active. And so it's given me the ability to speak instead of typing in my question or problem. Don't know what it'll do now. But anyway, that's more of CCS, and right now it's taken what I spoke in and it turned it off. So it doesn't, it can be the microphone left on, but it's kind of dangerous. So they try and let you talk into a question and then turn it off after it's answered.
So James, you said you play games. What kind of games do you play?
Mostly solitaire.
Solitaire. Well, so you could ask this how to beat the solitaire game.
Yeah.
I do pretty good. I beat it pretty much.
You cheat, huh? So you know how to cheat in the game?
I don't cheat. I just follow the word, follow the rules. That's all.
But
Have we shown you
CoPilot, Bard are a couple of great ones, and I think Bard might go away. That's made by Google because they come out with a new product called Gemini, and it's supposed to take all of their existing AI knowledge and roll it up into the new product. I just haven't gotten to it yet. But AI is a good tool to have. It's something none of us had for the past 25 or more years and would like to have had something like the AI when we have problems. Maybe we can't get a hold of somebody that might have the answer. You bring up the AI assistant, give it the issue, and maybe it can come up with the answers for you and the guidance of how to get it resolved. And it doesn't have to apply to a computer. Maybe you got a kitchen appliance that's giving you a headache. Your car's not running right. What might be the problem? All kinds of things in life. An AI may be able to give you guidance or a solution to a problem. If you don't know how to use AI, that can be a problem going forward.
Well, I use the microphone quite a bit. For vitamins, for colds, for everything.
Well, it's not good general practice to ask AIs or do searches on medical information. You need to go to a real medical sites like WebEx, etc., because otherwise you can get a lot of misleading information that could possibly do harm to you.
The most I research my medicine my doctor give me. See, the side effects online is a lot bigger, a lot longer than what they give you in the paper. So I read all the bad stuff about it and decide if I'm gonna take it or not. No.
With my medications, what turned out to be important was when and how I was taking them.
Yeah,
That's information many doctors won't take the time to sit you down and talk to you about. I finally ended up with a nurse practitioner talking to me about it at one practice.
And in some cases, the best person to talk to, the pharmacist you got the prescription from, because they know a lot of the interactions that can occur between drugs as long as they know all the drugs you're taking.
Yeah, I won't name the big chain pharmacies involved, but they're getting so rushed these days, they do not take the time to talk to you even if you ask. And it's a real pain in the bother dealing with them. And again, I'm not going to name the big chains that are involved.
There's a lot of them because there's a shortage of personnel.
It's worse than that. They're being asked to do so many different things and staffing is not being increased. I'm sorry, James, I talked over you.
That's all right. I do the same thing. I use my pharmacist.
Well, another article that is worth mentioning is this one here called 10 Things You Should Never Share on Social Media, but People Do It Day In, Day Out.
Well, 10 things you should never share on social media.
That was an email this morning on the online. That 10 things you never tell your when you're buying a car. A lot of little information.
Okay. Very important things. Don't share your travel plans or photos while you're on a trip. That's a good important one. In other words, don't tell the world you're out of town.
That's right.
Disable location data and delete photo metadata. That gets a little tough to do. You know, a lot of people like to share their vacations with family and friends, but if you put it on social media, bad place to put it, because the bad actors out there can use it to know you're not home and rob you blind.
Unless you do it after you get home.
Yes, after you get home. Don't ever share your personal information like date of birth, photos of important documents, anything that could be used to capture your identity to be used against you.
So, or photos of your children, grandchildren, etc.
Right. So they go in a little more detail here about, sharing your location data, your travel plans and stuff like that. And definitely never put photos of your driver's license, passport, or credit cards information. Don't ever put that online.
But people do it.
Some people do these things.
People were putting images of their COVID vaccination cards online, and then other people were using them to make fakes.
Yeah, but today it's not important. Now nobody, and it's like the last time I went for a COVID shot and I presented the card, they're like, we don't bother doing that anymore.
In my state, records are all electronic now.
Yeah, and they don't need to do it on paper. So, and it's all contained in your system. It's whether somebody wants to take time to delve into it to read it. Meaning, does your doctor take the time to look back and say, oh, you had this inoculation. I don't need to keep asking you to get it.
Yeah. Some doctors are better about that than others.
Okay, so another good thing is don't put anything that's self-incriminating, like the fact you robbed a store and you're bragging about the tchotchke that you came home with, this big, it was a liquor store and you got this fantastic bottle of whatever that, why would you do that? I don't know. Don't talk about an expensive new purchase.
Makes you a target.
Yep, like I bought a bar, I got that bar of gold at Costco, when they were selling it. Here it is, right here in front of me. Don't ask for personal advice, especially medical advice from the general public or something like that. We definitely don't want to do that. Oh, of course, the scammy giveaways and contests.
Yeah. And don't forget the Facebook quizzes.
Yep. And anything you don't want to make public, because remember, everything you do is public, at least on social media.
The other thing people have gotten into a lot of trouble for is doing things like making TikToks at work, and something gets caught in the background that is proprietary.
I could see that. Definitely can see that.
Oh, and don't grouse about your employer online. They're
No.
almost always watching.
No, no.
All right. Do we have any other last questions?
Well, I see a lot of stuff they're advertising, like play casino games on the line or internet, Can you imagine trusting your money to somebody, running a casino machine or whatever? Unbelievable, huh?
Yep.
Well, in my state, certain forms of online gambling are legal.
Fools and their money are soon parted.
You're absolutely right, Tim.
Yeah, here in Massachusetts, we have sports betting, and we have two big companies doing it.
Well, yeah, we have it too, but but at least you're supposed to give them $20 and they're going to spin the roulette wheel for you. Come on,
Or you just won the German National Lottery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen. Any other last questions or comments? If not, I will call this a successful meeting tonight. Nope, I will stop.